So, I will talk a bit about a new way of Magento enterprise infrastructure. My name is Stefan Wilkemer. I'm co-founder and CTO at Tech Division. So within Tech Division, I'm responsible for technical innovation and also controlling. I live with my wife, Annette, and our two cats, Sissy and Tiger, in the southern part of Germany, exactly 50 miles in the south of Munich. So this is a really great area. I like climbing and hiking a lot there. So we have really nice spots here. On the left hand, you see our headquarters, which is located in the south of Munich. So at the moment, I'm quite busy, not only with working at Tech Division and doing great, cool stuff like the AppServer IO, but also because we are gonna having our church wedding in 3 weeks from today. So, and I have really to get a grip on my wife because she is really doing a great job on engineering that event. So let me say some words about Tech Division. So we do open source software. Of course, we are really focused on Magento. So we were one of the first partners in Germany from the very beginning. And we also do stuff like content management, and we do technologies like Elasticsearch and Ember.js and so on. And we really care also about responsive web design. So we do the whole web stack. And we have the luxury at the moment that we have our own R&D department. So at our R&D department, we are researching around multi-threading in PHP. So this is one of our sweet spots at the moment. And leads us directly to the topic of that talk, because the outcome of our R&D department is the product AppServer IO. So, but first of all, I have in my topic the omnipresent and phenomenal buzzword enterprise. So first of all, we should clarify a bit what enterprise means to us. So when it comes to enterprise, we define it in the following way. Our customers always do have more servers, not only for the application itself, but also for services around. So that means data preparation, reporting, and stuff like that. So they also need more servers because, for sure, they have to serve more users. So that is also a topic in the enterprise for us. And hopefully, more users leads us to more orders and more transactions. And that always implies that there is more money in the game. So what is the problem actually? We have faced some numbers and challenges during the last years when we worked with Magento, especially with Magento Enterprise. So I would like to share these numbers with you guys. So we have a customer who has more than 1 million products in stock. And that is not only a problem when you want to import that huge amount of products, but also it is coming along with a lot of other data. You can imagine you have not only these 1 million products, you also have attributes, attribute sets, and categories as well. Another customer is doing more than $250 million in revenue online. And that is also a challenge when it comes to high availability. And we have a customer who has more than 150 stores within one instance. So also a big challenge. And last but not least, we have a customer who is doing more than 10,000 orders a day. And in primary sales events, that increases up to 10,000 orders in a couple of hours. So these are some numbers from our side. And I think that you can imagine what these numbers mean when it comes to an infrastructure. But let me go back a bit in time, because the infrastructural components over the last year changed dramatically. When we started, and I think most of you guys started with Magento a couple years ago, the web stack was completely, or was kind of different from nowadays. So that means we had, at that point of time, 5 years ago, for example, we had as web server, we used always Apache with mod PHP, and that changed. So even Magento is recommending today Nginx, and infrastructure nowadays kind of look like that. So we have a front layer with a load balancing and web application firewall, and we have caches like Varnish, which I think is a pretty common approach for that. And of course, we have the application layer. And the application layer is based on two components at the moment. So we have our web server, the Nginx, for example, with a mod PHP or a PHP FPM with a fast process manager. And below that, we have a data and service layer. Of course, you have your MySQL database there. You have a timer service. Normally, you use cron for that. And you have memory caches like Memcache or Redis. And sometimes when you have the demand of asynchronous processing, then you need something or some components like message queue for asynchronously processing actions. Therefore, you can use tools like Gearman or ActiveMQ. So what is the problem with that? So if you have higher or requirements or bigger setups, you have to scale out that. And that comes along with an increasing overhead of management, administration, as well as configuration of that stack. So what's wrong with the stack itself? Nothing's wrong, I think. So we getting out great results with that stack, so it's working quite fine. But we always have the demand and the idea to have a more sophisticated infrastructure, especially with a broader base in the PHP userland. So if you look towards other languages, it's pretty common to have infrastructural components which are based or are written in the language your application is written. So if you look towards Java, for example, all the infrastructural components are written in Java itself. And then that makes it really easy for developers to extend and change these tools. So the idea was to do something similar. And we realized over the years when the tools changed, and that affected such prominent ones like Apache, we realized that everything which considered good today can be outdated or bad tomorrow. And that is not a bad thing. This is a good thing because it drives innovation forward. And that is, I think, really important to go ahead because PHP and Magento, which is based upon PHP, is going more and more into the enterprise. So we are here at the Imagine conference, and this morning we heard about the transformation process, and I'd like to ask you to do me a favor and just close your eyes for 5 seconds and think of a great infrastructure based upon PHP, which is really, really great to use. And think of that infrastructure, and maybe we can compare that later on, and maybe you have the same thoughts in mind we had. So when we ask ourselves the question what we are really missing at the moment in the infrastructure in the PHP world, there were 3 things which were popping up. And one was we wanted to have an infrastructure which is really easy to use. So that was one really big thing. So we wanted to have an infrastructure which is easy to install on any platform, including Windows, including Macintosh, and including Linux as well. So, and also we wanted to have an ease of use in that way that we don't want to orchestrate lots of single components. So we want to have everything in one box. And also what we wanted to have is scalability, because it's really, really important in the enterprise to scale out your platform. So that is also an issue. And of course, we wanted to have that in a kind of really easy way. So we wanted to do that via auto-provisioning, zero provisioning over the network boundaries. So you do not have to configure each server manually. And of course, performance is an issue, even it was not the biggest issue for us. Performance, a great out-of-the-box performance is, of course, important. But we care more a bit about the other services. So performance is an issue, but we wanted to have the possibility to add some or attach additional features to Magento or to the infrastructure to gain performance out of Magento. So that was the idea in the first place. So what we did is we actually looked around, especially in other languages. As I said, we looked into the Java arena. And we saw that there are really nice components there available, which are fully written in Java, so it makes it easy for every Java developer to extend and to change these components. And we wanted to have something similar, an infrastructure which is fully built upon PHP. So, and then we came up with the idea making an application server for PHP. So what is an application server? An application server not only is something like a web server which serves web pages to the clients, it's also a tool set which has a lot of components. So there are other services around the application server which you can use, like message queuing and memory caches, for example. So we had that idea, and we did a lot of prototyping during the last 1.5 years. And then we reached a stage and we figured out everything we wanted to have is possible. So PHP is a really stable and great language, and we figured out everything we wanted to have is possible, and we can do that. And then we started the project, which is called the AppServer.io. The AppServer.io is a completely written in PHP application server. So it's the full web stack. It replaces all other components of your stack. So you do not need engines, for example, anymore. You do not need any other components because AppServer is delivering the full stack. And I would like to show you how AppServer, the architecture, look like. Yeah, I know it's kind of complex, looks like kind of complex, but I will describe all the services we have at the application server. So that is the AppServer node. It's one piece of software you install on any platform, and it offers you all these services you see here. The important thing is the AppServer is divided into two sections. So we do have here the non-memory and stateless section, and we have here the in-memory and stateful section. So I'll describe later what that means. First of all, to start with an infrastructure product, you have to write a web server. So that may sound quite simple, but that is not quite simple. So we have written a web server, completely written in PHP with multi-threading support. And we attached a mod PHP to process PHP application to it. So you see that here. And also, we integrated an interface for PHP FPM, so a fast process manager, fast CGI integration. And that enables us not only to use the PHP module here in the AppServer platform, but also to use the PHP module of your system. And that is great because AppServer.io can fully integrate, for example, with HHVM from Facebook. So that is, I think, really nice. And we have on the left hand here, we have a WebSocket container. And the WebSocket container enables you to have static connections between the client, for example, single-page application, and the server side. So this is really a cool feature. So let me go down a bit below here. You see the in-memory section, and here we have 3 services available, which one is the timer service, so you can execute exactly planned actions over the timer service, and you have a message queue, which you can address over a native protocol as well as Stomp as a standardized protocol. So, and the heart of the app server is the servlet engine, because the servlet engine is something you do not get on any other PHP-based infrastructure. So this is completely new. We are the first guys who are doing this. So what does the servlet engine do? The servlet engine enables you to put your application into the memory. And that means you can relinquish of the bootstrapping. So once the application or the app server is started, you load the application directly into the memory, and that means you do not have to bootstrap anymore. Bootstrapping is, of course, the most expensive process in running a PHP application. So that is gaining a lot of speed out of your application. So below that, we have a persistence container where you can store real PHP objects into it, and the persistence container persists these objects into a database, for example. And we have the data grid, which is memory-based cache, and you can address that over protocols like memcache, and we are working on having a protocol, a Redis protocol implementation as well. So the data grid also makes it possible for the app server to scale out. So that means you have the possibility to scale out the app server over many nodes, so you can share your data over the network boundaries from one to another app server. And that's all done by the data grid. The cool stuff on that, on all the components, is that we have on every component we have an API you can integrate with, so you can write add-ons for the app server, and everything is fully written in PHP. Yeah, so that's it. That's the app server. But unfortunately, there is one thing you have to keep in mind, because most of the applications out in the market right now are not built up for this kind of infrastructure. So you have to change a bit on, or you rework the applications itself. So that means we build up a toolbox, a Magento Toolbox for the application server. So there are 5 components we were thinking of. So we prototyped and we implemented 2 of them. And one was the parallel import, and the other was the Mage servlet. So the parallel import is using the multi-threading or the app server, or the multi-threading which is available in the app server platform. So that means that you can parallelly import data into Magento on many cores. So normally in PHP-based applications, you have the problem that you run a PHP process and it sticks just to one core of your CPU. Even if you have 24 cores available on your system, you cannot use them because the single process is just sticking to that one core. And we are changing that here, so you can parallelly use all of your CPU you have on your server and import, and that makes the import process much faster than the normal one from Magento. And as I said before, the Mage servlet here is using the servlet engine within the app server. So it wraps around the bootstrapping of Magento and makes it possible to load Magento directly into the memory. And that means if a request is coming in, you do not have to do the bootstrapping anymore because Magento is already loaded in the system. So you have it in your memory, you just shred it into, or put it in an own thread, and it's fully up and running. So you do not have to do the bootstrap, and that is increasing the performance tremendously. Okay, let's bring the elephant up to speed. So I said earlier that speeding up is not, or was not, the main issue of building the app server, but I think it's cool if you can speed up the applications running on the app server. So let's get to the chase, and I like to show you some examples we did, some comparisons. So we made a comparison in performance, in case of performance. Following setup is one web server, one database server, virtualized with 4 cores each, and the Debian Wheezy installation, and Magento 1.13 with an amount of 10,000 products. So the really, really incredible and fantastic thing here is that in comparison with Nginx and PHP FPM, we have the same performance out of the box than these tools. And the cool thing is on that, it's kind of lame because we do not use any advantages of the app server here. So let's go ahead and look what we can reach when we use the power of the memory. So we made the test again. So we integrated that Mage servlet into the app server, and we could increase the speed tremendously. So in an average about, with that case, we were in an average about 62% faster than the normal Nginx setup. So that is, I think, really fantastic. But we went on and did some testing with the importing as well. So the problem on importing, as I said, is the sticking to just one core. And we recorded with Magento 1.13 a really, really nice performance increase in importing. So that these guys did a really good job on that. But we had still the issue of just using, or we were just able to use one CPU core. And we fixed that with the parallel import, so it makes it possible to use all of your CPU cores. So as many as you have or as you like, you want to use. And in our setup, that meant that we could speed up the import around about 280%, which means that we are 3 times faster in importing than with Magento with the standard enterprise configuration. So these are quite good results. We were really happy with that, and that was the, we had the idea to go to some of our customers and ask them if they wanted to switch to the Appserver platform. And we found some silly guy, we found one guy, and he really wanted to use the Appserver, and we found out that this was really, really cool and smooth to integrate in. So it was not a big deal. We could really easy integrate the platform into the Appserver, and we went live 2 weeks ago with that platform. It's one of the biggest multi-merchant platforms in Germany. So they have 70 websites in Magento, in one Magento instance, and still increasing. And they have 150 stores within that instance. So we're using Magento 1.12 here, and amount of 12,000 products. And it's up and running the last 2 weeks, and we really, really got some nice feedback, a really nice testimonial from the customer side. So you can have a look at that testimonial video on the Appserver webpage, so it's really great. And we increased the performance of around about 50% on that platform. And that comes along with a reducing of the maintenance costs about 25%, because he was able to use less servers than before. So what's next? We are still working on the Appserver platform. We released yesterday the 0.6 version, which is a quite stable version. The next one the next thing we wanted to do is to release in the next 2 months, a stable 1.0 version of the Appserver platform. And of course, there will come some additional features and additional services around. So we are gonna have an enterprise edition, I think in the first quarter of 2015, with a lot of additional functionalities you really need in the enterprise. So like cluster features, farming deployment, and of course snapshots. So if you want to have a backup, a really, really nice backup on deployment, we will integrate a snapshot feature as well. So who are we addressing? We are addressing merchants, of course, but not directly. We wanted to have solution partners who wanted to use the Appserver within their customers. So we want to empower these people to use the Appserver and take advantage of the Appserver platform. And we also wanted to have agencies, solution partners, and of course developers who want to give them a try. Because I really think that this is the next big thing in the PHP environment. So we went on the PHP world, and this is, I think, definitely that what was missing in PHP. So we're really looking for people who are interested in that and want to work with that. And we're also looking for software producers, for vendors, because the Appserver makes it possible to very easy to distribute your application. And we have a really smart way to do that, and I will show you something which we will have in one of the next versions. So this is the Appserver UI. So the app server comes along with an admin interface, web-based admin interface, and here you see our dashboard with some nice statistics. So you have the CPU usage and memory consumption, and of course you see the health of the containers. So you see here the state of every container, and of course you can restart single containers, and you see network statistics and so on. And in addition to that, we also have a really nice another feature, which is the App Store. And the App Store in the App Server enables you to really easy browse through PHP-based application on your system and really easy install that just by drag and drop. So you just go to your local installation or your server installation of the App Server, and you can really nicely and easily install PHP applications there.